thousands of climate scientists around the world from 40 different countries did their research and came up in October of 2018 with the groundbreaking report on climate. And that groundbreaking report, I won't recite 180 pages, I will summarize it in 3 sentences. What that report basically says is, if we go to a world that is 2 degrees warmer versus 1.5, we will have killed and exterminated 2 times as many biodiversity species. If we go to a world of 2 degrees versus 1.5, we will destroy 2 times as much infrastructure and economic value around the world. But most importantly, the report says if we go to 2 degrees versus 1.5, we will have 3 times as many people exposed to water scarcity, food insecurity, and temperatures at home that make home uninhabitable. That means forced migration. That means conflict. That means political chaos. And so because of that, because we cannot afford, from a moral perspective, to impose that kind of a pressure on future generations, that is why we, the adults who are at the table today, have the moral responsibility to do everything to put us on track to a maximum temperature of 1.5 and not open the door to 2 degrees. We are currently emitting as a planet 40 gigatons per year, all of us together. And by 2030, we have to be down at 20 gigatons. If we are not able to halve our emissions over this decade, everything else that is put out there by science and in the Paris Agreement of being at net zero by 2050 is out the door. And 1.5 degrees as a temperature limit is completely out the door. So there is no doubt that we all have to do this. Now, the question is that going to be done top down or bottom up? And my answer to that is both. It has to be done systemically, so we have to be able to decoal our grids, and the UK has done a brilliant job on that. But we also have to continue to take coal out of the grids, and in particular in Asia, where coal is continuing to increase. And those are systemic changes that have to be done for electricity, for transportation, for finance. All of that has to be done at a big level. But each individual has to also contribute. And so my invitation is actually quite simple. Every single one of us can, with many different carbon calculators that are out there on the web, we can very quickly quantify what our personal carbon footprint is, what our family's carbon footprint is. And as a determination that we take on a personal level in the year 2020, we should decide that by the year 2030, no matter where we are today, we have to be at 1/2 of that. In fact, let me go further than that. If you live in an industrialized country, you should actually aim for a cut of 60%, because we have to make space for people in the developing world that will have to increase. So to those who live in developed countries, my invitation is figure out what your carbon footprint is. And over 10 years, I'm not saying overnight. It's not from where you are to zero, and it's not from Sunday to Monday. It is 10 years. And if you cannot accomplish that in 10 years, then honestly, you should not be a proud human being.